Good morning, Flosstube. It's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I want to welcome everyone to my channel this weekend. I'm glad you stopped by for a visit today. I have several things to share with you today. I have my current focus piece. I have a couple of finishes. I have some plans for finishing. I have a couple of things I've purchased, both cross stitch and knot. So let's just jump right into it. So when I left you last weekend, my husband and I were getting ready to leave for a overnight stay in Rose Hill, North Carolina, the home of Duplin Winery. We got introduced to Duplin Winery through our daughter. She loved the wines. They're sweeter wines. They're muscadine wines, and they're made here, like I said, in Rose Hill, North Carolina. And they have a store in Myrtle Beach. So one of the times we visited Myrtle Beach, my daughter knew we were there and asked us to pick up a couple of wines to bring home with us for her. And we ended up staying and taking a tasting, and they had live music out on their deck, where you could just sit around with others and sip a wine and just enjoy the ocean breeze and the music and the laughter of those around you. It was just a great feeling. It's a good, clean energy there, and now every time we go, we stop. So the last time we visited was about a month ago or a little over. My husband and I went to Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, which is right outside of Myrtle Beach. And of course, we made the trip back to the Duplin Winery there. And we joined the Heritage Club, which is a club through Duplin Winery where you get a shipment of wine every 3 months, and they offer other specials like at the vineyard itself there in Rose Hill. So one of these package deals was a trip to the Duplin Winery, a stay, a tasting, a lunch, a dessert, and we took them up on it. So we took off up there and we had a wonderful time. And as you get off the interstate, there where the vineyard is found, there is actually the grapevines on both sides of the road going into town, down the road towards the vineyard. There's not a lot else going on in Rose Hill, North Carolina other than that. But we immediately got off the interstate. We were too early to check into the hotel, so we went straight to the vineyard. And we had the winery, and we had a tasting, we had lunch, and as I said, we had a great dessert, and we just had a wonderful time. It's so funny when you're doing wine tasting. I always tell my husband, everybody's kind of quiet and reserved as the tasting starts. By the end of the tasting, everybody's laughing and friends. But we enjoyed our time there. We shopped around a little bit. We brought some bottles home and some bottles for my daughter Chelsea, that enjoys them. And then we went to the hotel, and the hotel was very nice. They left a bottle of the wine there in the room, which they had, through the Chamber of Commerce there, they had the package with the winery and the hotel. But next door was a place called the Mad Boar, I believe it is. And it was in an old, to me it looks kind of like an old cotton mill or an old warehouse for a cotton mill. And it has it's a brick building, and it has the very large or the tall windows that have the arch top. Maybe something that was maybe built around 1910, 1920s. When we walked in, I was floored. It's just, it's very well kept. And I asked the hostess, is this an old warehouse, an old mill? Is it? And she said, no, it had always been a restaurant. And there's both a restaurant side and a pub side, and they were packed. And we entered the pub side, and it was modeled after an old Irish pub. And the ceiling was tin, and it was green, and the bar itself with the moldings and the carvings there, and just the lamps with the, the stained glass lamps, both, there were stained glass coming into the restaurant as well as in the bar area, and there was live music there, and it was just a wonderful atmosphere, and I enjoyed that very much. But as I said, other than the winery and the Mad Boar, there wasn't a lot going on in Rose Hill, North Carolina. We did, it was beautiful. It's a beautiful area, beautiful country, but we laughed because when we looked it up to, on Google and say top 10 things to do, and it suggested we see the world's largest frying pan. So I'm glad we visited. It was great for a weekend visit, and I look forward to visiting the Myrtle Beach one next time. It's not that long of a drive for us, maybe 3.5 hours. But we do like to have things to do on the following day. So that's what we did on the following day. We drove, which was Monday, the holiday. We drove down into Myrtle Beach. Or no, I'm sorry, that was Sunday. We left on Monday. But we drove down and had a good seafood meal and just moseyed around, seeing what had changed or anything new from the last time we visited. But we had a really good time, a really good weekend away, the two of us. I really enjoy those. Being empty nesters, it's something that we couldn't always do when, you know, our children were small, unless my mother or, you know, was able to watch the children for us. And that's a lot asked when you have 3 and ours were doorsteps, you know, 2 years apart each, or 2.5, the last two. But we're really enjoying the empty nesting a lot. So anyway, so this was just the brochure they gave us at the tasting about the wine, in case anyone's interested in looking it up, and I'll leave a link to them below. Just a local to me. It's in the Carolinas, because I'm South Carolina and that's North Carolina, just to promote them as being from the Carolinas. So what else did I do? So I stitched on the way up, I stitched on the way back. On the video, and I stitched while I was there. So I did finish a couple of things. The 2 smalls that I had planned on starting last weekend, I did, and I finished them both. I started off with this one, and this is Bundled Up Birdie, and it's by Blue Ribbon Design. It was a complimentary design that was in with the mailing when I ordered a bag from her, one of her bags. Now, she has I believe her name is Belinda, and she has an Etsy shop, and I'll list that below as well. And she does put bags up from time to time. But here is Bundled Up Birdie. And so at very few colors you can see there. It took longer than I anticipated, but you can see there's a lot of stop and starting there. I stitched it on a 28 count Vintage Country Mocha. And the snowflakes that you see here are, I don't have my glasses on. I think they're Rhodes stitches, and they stitch up pretty quick. But I really love how this turned out. And you can see how she finished it up here. And I plan on doing something very similar. So I'm all about doing these ornaments in between the bigger projects. So there's that one. And I also started and finished, and this one I did post on Instagram. I didn't post this one, but I started this one on the way back on Monday. And this is Grand Old Flag by Heart and Hand, another patriotic piece. And here it is. And this is just a piece of 28 count fabric that I had in my stash. It looks like it might be dirty linen. I really like this one. It was an easy stitch. It went pretty quick. I love the big blocks of color. It was only 3 DMC colors. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to finish this one. I will be leaving here shortly after I film the video to do some grocery shopping and things. Usually I do that with Clint, but he's working today. So I'm gonna do those, and it gives me the opportunity to do a little side shop. So I'm gonna stop by a couple places and see if I can't get some ideas for finishing this. And again, this was Grand Old Flag by Heart and Hand. And I was in Myrtle Beach, but I didn't get a chance to go by Barefoot Needle Arts. They're right outside in Surfside Beach. They're in Myrtle Beach, and I didn't get a chance to go this time. We left Monday. We drove in Sunday and left Monday, but on the day when we take trips, on the day that we go, my husband wants to get up at the butt crack of dawn, have breakfast, hit the road, and it's an argument to stop for a pit stop, because when he's got somewhere to go, that's the mission. Let's get there. And so he got up early, and they didn't open till 10. But I do have a work conference there in September in Myrtle Beach, so I'm looking forward to going back there then and visiting Barefoot Needle Arts while I'm there. So I did have another start last week, and I shared this one with you, and this is Calico Confectionary, and I will list this one below. And just know I do try to list anything that I share with you in the videos that I'm working on below so you can link to them. And I did notice on Instagram yesterday, I think through today, I think today is the 25th, or is it the 24th? Anyway, I think she's offering a discount. Go to her Instagram page. She's offering a discount on her patriotic pieces through the 25th. So I'll link her below so you'll have just a click and get right to her. But my start date was Sunday with my friend Kitty, and a friend here on Melanie here on Flosstube has joined in with us. So thank you, Melanie, for joining along with us. I have to say, I got there, I had packed all these these charts, and kitted them up before I left home. And I only took the key in this front page and let the actual pattern at home. So I had the fabric, the thread, the needle, the scissors, and left the pattern at home, which is why I started Grand Old Flag. So I didn't get to start this until when I got home. That's all about unpacking, washing, getting ready for the next day, putting things away. You know, I did not start it until Monday. And I started it on a piece of 28 count mystery linen. I originally had pulled out a piece of 40 count to stitch it on, which I think is more like 42 count. I haven't actually counted it, but it's really tight. And this is how far I got before it feels, when you enjoy 36 and 40 and then you stitch on 28, for some reason it doesn't bother me when I'm doing ornaments, but the size of it I switched. I went back to the 40. Plus, I don't know how I did this. There's only an 1.5 inch border. You can see there's more, and I'm not so much worried about there being a 3 inch because I was pulling from stash. I knew I could still frame it myself because I plan to with a smaller margin. I don't know how I did this. So anyway, so I chose a 28. The pattern calls for 32. The 32 will fit in an 8x10 frame. I went with the 28 thinking I could fit it in the 8x10 frame and it just be to the edges with no margin. That won't happen. It has to be the 32. And I thought, well, no worries. I can thrift a frame. I can make a frame. I can make a banner, a wall hanging, whichever. And then I decided I don't like the 28. I don't like the size. So I restarted it. And this is where I got on the 40 count, which, like I said, I think is 42. I'm more satisfied. And then Clint sees what I'm doing and notices the difference. And he said he prefers this one. So now I don't know which way I want to go. And actually, I think I'm leaning back towards this one. I may just finish them both because I hate to start and not finish something. I blame that on my mother. But I really dislike that. So let me show you the difference though. So let's just go with what the paperwork on this bottom one says, 40 count, and this is 28, and that's the difference. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this as easily as I thought. Give me just a second. So that's the difference, size-wise. But now I'm looking at it through this camera and I'm kind of leaning to what Clint says. I see that the colors seem to be more vibrant in the 28 than it does the 40. And I may, like I said, just go ahead and finish them because it's not a very big sampler. It will take me a couple of weeks to finish this, I'm sure. So I'll probably, unless I really push myself, it's not going to be done by July 4th by no means. And then yesterday, work was really crazy this week. It was just an off week. Like a lot of really weird, abnormal things were going on. And I was just exhausted when I got home, mentally, not physically, just mentally exhausted. So I didn't even stitch on this at all last night, not because of work, but because my granddaughter Evie stayed over for the first time, stayed overnight with me, and it was all, yesterday was all, and when I got off of work was all about Evie. So she just recently went home with mom and dad, so. But anyway, back to this. So I will continue to work on these in the next couple of weeks because I'm not going to stop until I finish them. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up finishing both of them. I may gift one, I may keep them both. I'm not sure. I'll let you know as time goes. And then I picked up another piece that I am going to slowly work on. Now this is a WIP. I'm not allowing my new starts unless I finish them, hence the American Sampler. This is, let me see if there's a picture of it or just a pattern. This is an old magazine from For the Love of Cross Stitch, and this is Paula Vaughn. And there's a stitch along going on like right now for Paula Vaughn pieces. And I don't think there's any rules involved. But McMama Hollis on Instagram, she started a stitch along with another stitcher, and I'll link the list because they do have a hashtag. I'll link it below, and I'll put their Instagrams there for you as well. And they're going to work on Paula Vaughn's. Now I have one started, so that's what I pulled out. I don't have a problem working on my WIPs this year. I prefer to work on them and finish them, but I just want to allow myself new starts. So this was a perfect one. Now this looks like it's on a 28 count or 32 count Lugana, and that's all I got started. And I actually think it goes like this. So you see that little bit, and I started this at my friend Mary's one. On one of the times I visited, and that time I believe we were all starting new things, but we chose just designers, and if we had patterns to choose that we could work on by those designers, we started them this weekend. So again, since I have such a small start, I want to show you the pattern piece again. So you've got the old Singer machine by a window and a dress mannequin there. And so that's what that one's going to be. So I need to solidify my plans as far as how I'm going to work on it, whether it's just going to be maybe a Sunday, a weekend, a thread or two before bed, whatever I'm going to do, and I'll let you guys know on next weekend. And then last week, I shared with all of you this piece that I was going to stitch with my husband, and I had a dilemma about the threads. And a lot of you gave me great comments with threads and ideas and suggestions. Thank you so much for that. On the trip to Rose Hill, I bought something I didn't have, which is this, and it's the DMC. It's the DMC thread guide, and it's a color card. And I got the one that has the actual threads, which the reason I did this one was a little more expensive than just the printed colored one because of the threads. But we all know, and this is where my mind went, when I get a pattern and I pull the colors and the pattern is the color scheme looks so different than the pattern picture. I don't want that to be the case with my threads, that I get the color chart and the colors are not true enough for me. So I went ahead and did the threads, and of course, there's my blues. And so not only does it give me the blues, which these are the dark ones like I was looking for, the dark ones, it also gives me the light ones in that color shade. So that way, this one's only two shades, so a dark and a light. And I had chosen 3768 and 168. This is going to allow me to choose my dark, which I'm leaning towards right now, 823, which is, this is where the stops, I'm sorry, I've got a hair in my eye. This is one of the stops that I'm going to make on the when I leave here to get groceries shortly. I'm going to go by and get the threads for this, so I can choose a color, one of the colors up here, so they're in the same color family. So I'm very happy to have this. I'm so glad I've been wanting one, but I would rather spend the money I spent on this on getting something in the past. But I really needed it in my mind, so it's a worthwhile purchase, and I'll link this below as well. I'm sure I'm going to get use of this, because oftentimes when I would visit before it went out of business, was the Stitch and Frame in Rock Hill, South Carolina, would have this color chart there on top of the DMC boxes. And so if you had a dilemma, and that was one of the shops that I shopped at most, at least once or twice a year, and I would break the bank each time I went because I went so infrequent. But they had this here in case there were things there on the boxes, in case you had a dilemma with your thread colors. It was easy to look them up. So I'm very happy to have this. Let me pick this up, excuse me. Okay. What else? Oh, I pulled this one back out. 4th of July is coming up, and I want to get it finished. And then I thought back onto these frames, and I'm going to share them with you now. A couple of them are diamond painting, which I dabbled in with both a group of friends. We did one gathering at a craft day that we had scheduled, and another then once I brought this one home. Now we did this one, and this is an 8x8 wood frame. They came from Hobby Lobby, and they were white. And I have it just mounted in there, this diamond painting piece. But it didn't come with the hardware, which is not a big deal. I put the hardware on. It has plenty of lip here for you to put cross stitch pieces in. And that's what turned me on to these pieces. Not only were they inexpensive, they came in white, and I painted this one gray to go with this piece. Now, like I said, friends of mine and I got together for a craft day, and we all did a small, this is an 8x8 frame, so this is an 8x8 diamond painting piece, and we did one that day together, which led me to having 2 girls of my own saying, I want to do one of those. So we ordered like a set of 4, and I did another one with my daughters. And this is it. And again, I bought the same frame and I painted it again. So this one's just a diamond painting mandala. And I got both of the, I don't know about this one. I think my friend Kendra got these on, I don't know if Kendra or Karen purchased those for us, but I believe they were purchased on Amazon. And I know I got this set, because they come in a set of 4 of the diamond painting things. And I got this set to do with the girls. So discovering those, how I discovered them is this piece. And this is Caroline Behringer by Summerhouse Stitchworks. And I stitched this a few years ago and put it in one of those 8x8 frames. And guess what? This one will fit in one of these 8x8 frames. So I took a trip to Hobby Lobby when I was buying the threads for my anniversary piece, and they didn't have them anymore. Not these particular ones. They only had ones similar that did not have this wonderful lip so that I could mount and close up my cross stitch pieces. And I just realized, shame on me. You hear that? I need a spacer in there. I need to take the back off of this. Oop, I've got it upside down. Take the back off of this and re-close it, because the glass is loose. So I got on Amazon. I said, well, if Hobby Lobby doesn't have it, because I've taken all the Hobby Lobby stickers off of the back of these, so I don't know the frame number. I don't know if Hobby Lobby still has them. I tried to search for them on their site with no luck. So I got on Amazon, we'll say that one more time. And I ordered the frame, and they come in a pack of 5. And you can tell they don't have the lip, as deep a lip as that one, but they still do have a nice size lip. And then they also have some mat boards in there, so you can actually frame smaller things, medium frame, the full frame size. And they have it where you can sit it out on a table, or of course hang it. But then usually I throw this away. I frame my things inside and I add my own hardware, but just know they're like that. So I have these, and I can paint them. They're all white, they're all solid. They do have the glass, and they're 8 by 8. So look for me to have this one framed up next weekend. I'm just debating on the color. I'm kind of going with like a brown shade, like is in one of the colors in the red stripes. Or I may go with the gray like is on one of the pieces I had there. I'm not sure. I just need to play around with my paint colors and decide how I want to paint it. And I may do something like speckle stars on it or something, since it is a patriotic piece. But I thought you guys might want to share that, because I have found, and I have gifted a piece in one of these. So I have 5 here that were cheaper than I could have bought 3, 4 at Walmart. I'm sorry, Hobby Lobby. So I'm looking forward. I know I can put these to use. I think they're worth it. So I got them. And then while I was at my trip this past weekend in Rose Hill, and we traveled down to Myrtle Beach, and we met a very sweet couple while in the pool. There's a hotel that we stay at. No offense to those with children. I just don't have small children anymore. And I like to stay in somewhere that's, places that don't have too much entertainment for children, because I like it quiet. So there's a perfect place we stay. We always make friends. And so we made these 2 friends that were from West Virginia. And we talked for a couple of hours, but they were out there just soaking in the pool, enjoying a little bit of sunshine because it was overcast. So when it peeked out from behind the clouds, enjoying the sunshine in a soak, and we just chatted. And they had these things called Frost Buddies. The Frost Buddies will hold a 12-ounce can, a bottle, the long, slender 12-ounce cans for seltzers, or just a plain old drink. And let me show it to you. So this is the one I got. My husband's is supposed to be ordered today. So I ordered it then because I love them. And some of you may already have these. There's so many things right now that'll keep your drinks and things cool. But that's the thing about the summer. You go outside with a drink and you've got a can, Coke or whatever, and you open it up and it just sweats every bit of that cool out within minutes. So this is mine. And all you do is take this lid off, and this lid has like a rubberized thing, because I was like, there's no way a bottle's gonna fit in that, because my husband's will have a few beers every now and then. I didn't think that this was gonna fit his bottles, but it does, because this is rubberized. And so this will slide down on the jar and it will move and mold to it. So, and it has a really good seal. And then this is for those tall, skinny seltzers everyone's into right now. A lot of people are into right now. This will hold that one, but you remove it just for the regular cans, which is what I would be drinking. So I thought you might want to see that, because this might be something that I take to the beach, throw it in with the cooler. And so, we usually are taking, I don't know, ginger ales, Cokes, whatever. They're going to fit in this perfectly and mold so that it keeps that cool. And it says it will keep it cool. I think it says for up to 10 hours. And then it's less for, well, I took my paperwork out of there. I am sorry. But anyway, I will link them below as well. I just thought they were cool. And I'll probably try them because we're gonna take another beach trip with the kids here, hopefully next weekend, and I'll be able to give it a try. Because you can't take anything glass. I don't know that every beach is like that. I'm assuming most of them are. You can't take glass onto the beach. You can't take alcoholic drinks onto the beach. And I think with this, it'll make it easier if we don't have a whole bunch of like styrofoam or solo cups, which is usually what we take. And then, of course, you're throwing your ice in with the drinks, and I don't like that whole thing either. So anyway, I think this is gonna work pretty well. Otherwise, as far as my stitching goes, I'm gonna continue to work on my American Sampler piece. If I get it finished by 4th of July, that'll be great. If not, I'm okay with that. I'm probably gonna go back to the 28 count and work on that one, since Clint very rarely makes suggestions or comments on my cross stitch. So I like it when something catches his attention and he likes it. So I'll probably go back to the 28 count, and I'll worry about framing it later. And then I'm gonna finish up my Forever in Peace. I will finish that one up in one of my frames this week that I had to share with you. I'm very doubtful I have those ornaments finished. More than likely with the ornaments, I'm gonna have to break down and have like an all-day finishing sometime at the end of the year to get those pieces finished. But anyway, I'm rambling. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. We've had a very rainy week here in the Southeast. I hope everybody's stayed safe through that. I've heard some things on the news that I could only imagine, so I'm thinking of you guys. But for those that's had a very rainy, overcast week, I'm happy to see the sun. I'm sure you are too. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Summer is now here. And find some time to stitch. Find some time to stitch with a friend. Until next time, hugs and stitches. Bye-bye.